All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about Operation Epic Fury. This is a story about a ridiculously high-stakes rescue mission deep inside enemy territory. It's a story of survival, of elite training, and, well, what happens when America decides to bring the thunder?
We got 'em. Just 3 words from President Trump, but they signal the end of one of the most incredible search and rescue ops in recent U.S. history. But how they got to that point, man, that's where the story gets absolutely wild.
So the whole thing kicks off right here, in the heart of Iran, over some of the most rugged, unforgiving mountains you can possibly imagine. An American F-15E is literally shot out of the sky.
Okay, here's the timeline. April 3rd, 2026, an F-15E goes down. Now the good news is, both crew members, the pilot and his weapons systems officer, the Wizzo, they both eject safely. The bad news? The winds blow them apart. A rescue is launched for the pilot the very next day, and they get him out, but it is a brutal fight. Helicopters take fire, crew get wounded. It's a stark reminder of just how hostile this place is. And now, one American is still out there, all alone.
To really get what's at stake here, you have to understand the terrain. The Wizzo, who's a highly respected colonel by the way, is down in the Zagros Mountains. We're talking steep, jagged ridgelines that shoot up over 7,000 feet. It's a maze of deep, rocky valleys. Yeah, it's perfect for hiding, but it's an absolute nightmare to try and move through, especially when you're hurt and you know you're being hunted.
And that brings us to this next phase of the whole operation. One man's unbelievable fight for survival. It's his training and his discipline versus the entire military of an enemy nation.
This is where years of SERE training, that's survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, just kicks into overdrive. And get this, he hit the ground so hard he broke his ankle, but his training is just automatic. He immediately gets away from the wreckage, uses the terrain and the darkness to disappear. He climbs, with a broken ankle mind you, he climbs up to get the high ground, making it way harder to track him. He finds crevices, uses shadows, and stays perfectly still for hours. And maybe most important of all, he signals for help without giving himself away.
His lifeline was this incredible piece of tech, the Combat Survivor Evader Locator, or CSEL. Now, this is not your average radio. It sends these tiny encrypted bursts of data that jump between frequencies. To the enemy, it just sounds like static, like random noise. But to U.S. Central Command, it's a constant, real-time update on the colonel's exact status. A silent lifeline that kept him connected without ever revealing his position.
And if things weren't bad enough, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps puts a $60,000 bounty on his head. I mean, can you imagine? They were desperate for a propaganda win, and that bounty turned the entire region, local militias, villagers, you name it, into one giant manhunt.
So let that sink in for a second. For nearly 2 full days, it is one man's training, his discipline, his sheer will to live against an entire country's military machine that is just swarming the mountains all around him.
But while the colonel was playing this deadly game of cat and mouse on the ground, the U.S. military was spinning up a response of, well, frankly, incredible scale. The cavalry was on its way.
And what a cavalry it was. I mean, look at this list. The ground team was basically a who's who of special operations. You've got Air Force PJs, the pararescuemen whose whole motto is that others may live. You've got operators from DevGru, likely Delta Force, Army Rangers, Green Berets. I mean, you're talking about the absolute tip of the spear.
And backing them up from the sky was just this staggering display of air power. The legendary 160th SERE, the Nightstalkers, with their helicopters for a super-fast insertion. A-10 Warthogs for that get-out-of-my-way close air support. MQ-9 Reaper drones acting as the eyes in the sky. MC-130s on standby for the pickup. And the whole thing is happening under a protective umbrella of F-15s and F-35s, jamming enemy radar and comms. It's overwhelming.
So this really sets the stage for the big showdown, right? On one side, you have a surgical rescue mission built on just insane firepower. On the other, a desperate capture attempt that's relying on a local manhunt and just throwing bodies at the problem. Something was about to give.
And this is it. This is the climax. This is where the colonel's lonely 2-day ordeal and America's massive rescue operation are about to collide, and collide violently.
So, under the cover of total darkness on April 4th, the rescue package goes in. We're talking deep into hostile territory. Nightstalker helicopters are flying low and fast, weaving through the mountains to drop off the special operations teams right near the colonel's hide site. This is a pretty incredible detail from someone who was familiar with the op. The MQ-9 Reapers circling overhead weren't just watching.
They created a lethal bubble of protection. They basically drew a 3-kilometer line in the sand around the rescue team, and according to the source, anyone deemed a threat who crossed that line was eliminated from the sky. But the Iranian forces, they were not giving up. They closed in hard on the extraction site, and it just erupted into this massive, close-quarters firefight. U.S. operators unleashed what was described as a hail of heavy suppressive fire, fighting for their lives to hold the line and protect the colonel.
So they got him. They secured the colonel. Mission accomplished, right? Nope, not even close. In a mission this deep inside enemy lines, getting to the target is only half the battle. Getting out, that's often the most dangerous part.
The plan was to get out of there from a remote, quickly set up airfield. The whole rescue force, with the colonel, makes it there. But then, they hit a huge, mission-ending kind of problem.
Unbelievable, right? 2 of their giant MC-130 transport planes, their ticket home, get bogged down. Their wheels are just sinking into the soft sand. They are stuck, and enemy forces are closing in, fast. There's no time. So they make the tough call, rig M to blow. They destroyed 2 multi-million-dollar aircraft on the spot to make sure the enemy gets nothing. A replacement plane is called in, lands under immense pressure, scoops up the entire team, and gets every single person out of there.
And the president's words really put all of this into perspective. This kind of deep raid is hardly ever even attempted, precisely because of dangers like this. It was a very powerful and very expensive message to the world that the U.S. will absolutely never leave a warfighter behind.
And at the end of the day, you just have to look at the final score. Despite the insane firefight, the high stakes, the loss of 2 aircraft, 0 U.S. casualties. The colonel was rescued, the enemy was denied any assets, meaning they didn't get their hands on our tech, and the mission was, without a doubt, 100% a success.
You know, this whole operation, from the colonel's incredible grit surviving alone in the mountains to the massive, complex military machine that roared to life to go get him, it really leaves you with a big question. It forces you to think about what it actually takes, the bravery, the planning, the unbelievable cost, to uphold that simple, sacred promise, to leave no one behind.